Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Home Staging Talk Show Live. I'm Jenny Norris, your host, and the show is brought to you by the International Association of Home Staging Professionals. Wanted to do some quick announcements. We've got a great show for you today, and as always, Home Staging Talk Show Live as hopefully encourages conversation within our industry and teaches people in the industry and those who want to get in the industry what they need to know and help you with your continued success. So looking forward to all those that are hopefully going to join us today. I'm trying to get rid of this this thing on the screen here. So last month we didn't have our show as regularly because I was sick, and then anniversary of my dad's death and so forth, and then our son's best friend who passed away. So came to you live from Inman, which was really great, and then last week I was sick. So this is our first show of February, and we are excited to be able to share some things with you. So bear with me here. I want to make sure people are seeing me live. So hopefully those of you that are tuning in, if you could write something on the page, let me know that you're here. That would be great. So first of all, for announcements, of course, I'm going to start off with our conference in Denver, September 25th, 26th, and 27th. And so we're about to announce our last final keynote speaker, who's going to be a business keynote speaker. So look for the announcement on that. And if you've been following the announcements, we have two keynotes that we announced already. One is Ravi Huthi Singh. I'm not sure if I'm saying his last name correctly, but anyhow, he is a cultural diversity and inclusivity expert. And so he'll be speaking on our designation, which is staging for different cultures. So the cultural staging designation, and he'll be part of that talk. And the reason we wanted to do that this year is because so many areas we have different, we have diverse populations where we live. So we want to know how to work with them as a stager and understand their cultures and so forth, so we don't offend, but it's also we understand when they respond certain ways, what that means. And so I'm excited for that talk. And then we have our marketing keynote, and that will be Johnny Fowler. So he is sort of just a guru, if you like that word, when it comes to marketing and social media. And he owns a large mortgage company, but his passion is teaching about social media, where we have to be, and some information that, as savvy as I think I am, I'm still learning a lot, and just little tips and things like that are going to be very, very helpful. Some of the staging hacks in order to bypass some of the algorithms with Facebook. And so just talking with him for about 15 minutes, learned a lot, and he'll have a 2-hour session with us. So I know social media and marketing and knowing where to be on the online presence and so forth, where do we have to be, and how do we bypass some of the restrictions to be able to get the exposure that we all want. That will be part of his talk. So I'm excited for that. So our tickets are on sale. You can go to ihopconexpo.com. Prices will be going up March 1st. And we still have a limited amount of space for the priority ticket, which will get you first in line for any of the speakers, meet and greets, priority seating, of course, and our speakeasy at our dinner, our awards dinner on Sunday. So that'll be really fun. And so make sure to get your tickets before we close that part out. All right. And then, of course, Portugal, that's coming up May 23rd and 24th in Portugal. So the 23rd is the primary conference. This is our IHOP Europe conference, beautiful Portugal, right in Lisbon. And so you can go to ihopeurope.com to register for that. And so that will be a great session. They've got some great speakers lined up that are talking about focus, success, clarity, future, and vision. And so you can go on their website and see who is speaking. So I'll be there talking about the future. And then the 24th, for those that want to learn how to do consultations, we'll be doing a one-day designation for that. So I'm excited for that. So go to ihopeurope.com to get your tickets for their conference. Again, May 23rd in Lisbon. Okay. Today is Stager Wednesday, so make sure that you hashtag Stager Wednesday, whatever you're doing, and then hashtag raise the standard. That's our goal, raise the standard. So again, Andrea Faber came up with this, but this is the hashtag. We just want to get it out there. Hashtag Stager Wednesday, hashtag raise the standard. All right. We have leap year. So y'all realize that we get an extra day for our year this year. So February 29th, we get an extra day. It's a leap year. So we have this marketing campaign. What will you do with an extra 24 hours? So if you know anybody who wants to get into staging, that's 24 hours of education. So they can sign up for the webinar or the online recorded webinar, the live or a live class, and take one small step of faith and one giant leap for a new career. And those who don't know, the landing of the moon, the first mission landing was this month, February, and it was 19. I'm going to get this wrong, but anyway, this is the celebration. But I thought that was kind of a fun slogan. Then we are doing something very interesting, so you guys can hopefully all tune in for this, at least a portion of it. We are doing a first time ever. Where's my logo here? Here it is. A 24-hour stage-a-thon. So what that's going to be is 24 hours of education. So I'm not going to stay up all day at night and all day talking to you. We have education that will be scrolling constantly in feed for 24 hours. And so anytime that you tune in, there'll be a link, thestageathon.com. You go on that page and you'll see the constant streaming of education. So you can join us at any time all day long and tap into that. So it's going to be on Leap Day, which is February 29th. That's the 24-hour stage-a-thon on February 29th. So I'm excited for that. All right, so the next thing I wanted to just share is, so we have our Lead Your Market workshops. So these are coming to cities all over the U.S. and also into Canada. We're getting these scheduled. And what these are is education. So the number one thing that everybody seems to want, whether you're established, well-established, or just getting started, is education. So one of the things that we are putting together, these workshops, one-day workshops, they're going to cover these 5 topics: pricing and profitability, the business logistics and operations, team building and delegating, marketing, social media and apps, and then the financial piece. So whether it's planning and positioning, so it's helping us to be in a better position financially as business owners, and also thinking about the future when we might want expansion, how to be able to fund that for our businesses. And so go to leadyourmarketworkshop.com, leadyourmarketworkshop.com. Let's see if I can type that in here. And then you can see all the places that we're going to be. So Denver, we're going to be here March 5th. Now, this is open to any stager, regardless of whether you belong to an association or not, or whether you have a certain training or not. It's open to everybody because the success needs to be achieved by everybody. So we don't want to put any limitations on your ability to get the education. So invest in yourselves. There are codes you can use, like Lead Denver. If you put that code in when you register, it'll save you some money. But we have a great lineup, and these people are outside specialists that are coming to share. I'll be talking in Denver and Boston and Sacramento. I'll be there live. And the other locations, we've got Fort Lauderdale. We have Southern California. We're putting together Chicago. We have Jacksonville, Florida, and Atlanta that we're working on. So go to Lead Your Market Workshop, and you can see all the places that we have confirmed, the dates, and then you can register. So we have Houston already on the books, and people are signing up for that. Space is limited, and we do have sponsors. So like in Denver, we have Sherwin-Williams, who will be sending some materials and some of their new paint colors for the first 20 people who register will get that. And then we have other sponsors who will be helping pay for lunches. So in every market that we're teaching, you'll have the ability also to receive some goodies and also get some outside information from resources who can help you. So Seattle and Phoenix are also on the schedule. So if you're in these areas, go check it out, Lead Your Market Workshop, and get registered. Okay, so with that, I'm going to put this back down. All right, so our speaker today, I had lined up Lauren, my daughter, was supposed to talk on social media, but she is on a truck staging. So I'm going to add in Renee Helten. Here she is. Adding to stream. Hello.
Hello. Good morning.
How are you?
I am very well.
Did you go home last night when did you come home back from Dallas?
On Monday night.
Monday night. Okay, cool. So tell everybody who you are in case they don't know.
Okay. My name is Renee Helten, and I have been a professional realtor for the last 25 years. I'm in my 25th year, running a pretty large team for 17 of those years. I've been a international coach, trainer, speaker for the last 7.
And she spoke at our conference. She taught the advanced stager training session and talked all about hiring and logistics, which she's going to be sharing in Denver about that. And she's an expert on that. So why are you an expert in that?
I have taken a great deal of training and certifications that I've achieved in behavioral analysis and profiling. I know that is sometimes not a great word to use, but I mean it in the best possible way. Profiling to people and who you are standing across, listening to, or about to meet. So a great deal of training in all of those areas. I feel like we can just be so much better for our clients if not only we know who we are, but we can identify who we're speaking to and then be able to analyze how they like to be communicated with.
And so Renee is actually going to be speaking this year at our conference on personalities and temperaments and the disc profile. We're going to have some fun, and she'll be on the main stage sharing that. She's also an expert in that, and she's my friend. So she's she's here in the Denver area, and so I asked her to be part of our workshop. She'll be talking on the logistics and team building. So, kind of given you and I met last week, just kind of give an overview, just general, about what some of the things that you plan on sharing.
Yes, of course. I find the biggest issues are when the person that is running the team can do everything. It's somewhat of a blessing, and it's more often than not a curse because they can do everything. So, when is the best time to identify when you should delegate, when you should get help, when you should build, and what you want to do as the leader and as the owner of the team, and when and how to be able to find the person to come alongside you, be an extension of you, and be able to trust that they can provide the quality, the customer service, be as thorough as you are and timely as you are for the clients that you are working so hard to get.
Which is really important because she's right. Most of us were very capable. You're building a company, and then it is who can you trust? And certainly, so I'm in my 18th year of staging, which that's a long time in the staging world. And I started out just by myself, like a lot of stagers, and then added a friend who wanted to help, so she became my assistant. And then eventually, she wanted to be more of a full-fledged stager. So I would add creative team members over time, geographically, to kind of spread it out. But the business side of it is something that someone like me has a hard time letting go of, delegating to. And one of the things that you shared at the future training that has stuck with me, and I'm working on this, is if you can pay somebody $20 an hour or less to do something that's on your plate, to assign that to someone else, to delegate it. And my response at the advanced teacher training was, but by the time I tell them what they need to have done, I could have done it myself. And everybody in the room was like, no, so the thing is, as you have to look at our time value. And so I think that's a huge piece, because otherwise we're limiting our ability to expand. So how do we get out of our own way?
And just to piggyback on that, Jenny, it's not just if you can pay somebody, you know, 15 or 17 or $20 an hour, depend on where you're at in the United States or even the world. It's what is your time worth? What is your dollar per hour? And that's an exercise that we are going to do. And every time you take a training, and especially through this program, training and education, it's just forefront. This is really a skills-based business that you are in. And if you can do something in less time, then you've just given yourself a raise. So we were doing an exercise, and I was saying to you, how long does it take for you to do a consultation? How long does it take for you and your team to be able to stage a vacant property or a property where people are still living? And all three of those had a different dollar per hour for not only you as the leader of the team and probably the highest skill set, for the others that were on your team as well. And if you can be very aware of what your dollar per hour pricing is, then you can be that much more aware of when you need to bring somebody else in to combat what you just said. You really, if you're hiring the right person, need to be able to train them in a 30-day period of time. And then, in my opinion, they are vying for their job the next 60 days and the next 30 days, which equates to 60 days, and the next 30 days, which is 90 days. And in a 90 to 100 day period, you should be very confident that you've hired the right person. I'm going to go much more in depth in that concept at our workshop, and really be able to do the exercise of when can you see the future that you need to hire somebody? How do you hire that person? And then subsequently, how do you train that person for success such that you don't have the mindset of, I can just do it myself so much faster? Of course you can. 100%. And where is your best use of your time? Where are you most efficient? And where are you getting $150, $200, which is what we came up with for what you do? You should be able to do this consult and the staging in a 10 to 12 hour period of time. If you can get that to 8 hours, you've just created a raise for yourself. And as you said, Jenny, you could be doing 4 to 6 of those at one time and never have to leave your house.
Right. And that's the beauty of having a team in place. And I think one of the hardest things is to find the right people. So if you're building a company, so there's like the two sides of the staging world. So there's people that want to have a company, and a lot of stagers enter the business thinking that they want to run a company and run all, have all the logistics and so forth. And then they get into it and they realize that they're really not the best business builder. They really like doing the creative. And so if you're like that, then you would be plugging into an established company or somebody who wants to grow. So there's the team that person that's like you're working, you get to the point where you can't do any more physically yourself. You need to add people to your team. So then you're looking for the person that wants to just plug in and doesn't want to have their own company. And finding those people, that tends to be the challenge. So I get a lot of requests from people who would like to work on the team or be a stager. And so what's one of the first questions you ask somebody in an interview to see if they're a serious candidate?
Yeah, may I take a step backwards and
Mhm.
piggyback on what you just said with regard to what you're great at and what you're looking for?
Yes.
Okay, so if we can predict the future, which we really should be able to do, and again, in this workshop, we will have specific points of, if you're doing this amount of either consults or vacant stagings, or stagings where somebody is actually living there, or what I call a clutter free zone type of staging just to get it ready for market. You have to be able to think, if I keep up at the same pace that I'm at today, will I need help in 60 to 90 days from now? And quite honestly, the first step for any business owner on the director of sales side, which please understand, you and the people that I'm talking to right now are the CEO, the owner of the company. You have a choice, depending on your personality, to become the director of sales or the director of operations. What is difficult if you are both. You can only do so much. There is a
Right.
finite amount of time in the week, 168 hours, and what I teach and what I practice is a very balanced life, whatever that means to you. So we will do this exercise as well in the workshop. That being said, the very first step is to identify what your values are and what your standards are. And sometimes that's the most difficult step. And quite honestly, a lot of us transitioning into the business world, it was all about me. I was the CEO. I get to do everything or have to do everything. I know what my standards are. And how do we hold somebody else accountable to what your standards are and what your values are? I feel very strongly that that needs to be in writing. It usually takes a little bit to think about what those things are, and sometimes they change, and that's perfectly fine. They can change. We just really don't want those things to change as you are in the hiring process, because it gets very confusing for the person that you're hiring. That being said, there needs to be what I call a bench. And you're always looking for talented people. And this environment that we're on right now is an excellent way to be able to network for this talent. And I have found, just in my limited time with you all, that it might even be worthwhile to think about a partnership or somebody moving to a different city that might be a good connection. And so use this platform for networking and also looking for what other people's standards and other people's values are that you respect. That's the first step. Once you have figured out what that standard is with you, what is important to you, and usually I say there's 3 key words that become your value. Has to flow into those values and into those standards. There,
I was going to say, so you cut out. So did you give the 3 words or just you're going to teach
No,
those at the
no.
workshop?
Everybody has their own 3 words, their own
Okay.
3 values. And yes, it can be an exercise, but I will challenge you to be thinking about that before you hire, before you're even thinking about hiring somebody, and then really create a mission and a vision around those values, standards, beliefs. That really has to be the first step. Then, quite honestly, and I know it sounds crazy, but there's this thing called the law of attraction. And you kind of put it out there, and I don't really understand or even know how this works. That is not my area of expertise. But there is some type of energy that happens once you create this foundation for yourself, that people come to you. And Jenny has talked to me about this multiple times. She's like, I don't know how it happened. And somebody just called me and said, are you looking to hire? And you have to be ready to be able to ask questions about what they're looking for. Not give your values or standards at first, but see if they align very organically. And that leads to the question that Jenny just asked me, which is, what do you ask somebody from the get-go? And I'll be real blunt and honest with you. It could be the second or third meeting before we even talk about money, because that concept of standards and values and accountability surpasses anything else for the right person. They want to be in an environment where they're learning because that is important for you. Let's say that's a value for you, that we're very learning based and we're always attempting to grow. That value will shine in that person. It will shine in you because you portray it. And they don't even ask you, how much does this position pay? It's sometimes I have to say it first. Would you like to know what this pays? And they're like, you know what? I figure for where you're at, you'll be fair. And I just want to align myself with someone that I can learn from, where there are opportunities for growth. And that could be what your value is. You're listening for those type of things. There's all the normal places. I have found Indeed or ZipRecruiter or even Monster.com are great areas to find people that are looking for positions. We have the lowest unemployment rate in the history of the United States right now, less than 3%. So sometimes when people are looking for a job, they have something else. They're transitioning. They're in a desk job, and they've always thought, I love designing. I love being creative. Now is the time. And sometimes it's a really good way to be able to get into this industry. What I find is better is putting the word out there and really networking with your peers and asking, is there anybody that you know of that is looking for a position, whatever it might be? Again, more on the operations side and the business aspect, the maybe the marketing and even the accounting side of life, or on the sales side, you are more of the person that likes to do the checklists and the different, um, uh, I guess, structure of what happens first, second, or third in any type of project. That could be you on the operations, or it could be you that is more on the sales side, that you're the front person speaking with the potential clients, and everyone needs to be speaking with realtors and what we call lead generating for business and lead generating for relationships, sponsorship type of activities, so that you can get in front of as many people in the least amount of time as possible.
Which is really important. And one of the things that we talk about too is, we're all in business and we're getting older and so forth. There'll be a point eventually that I may want to sell the company or do something. So to make it, the reason why you also want to delegate and have other people being able to interface with clients or handle some of the workload is because then it's not all about you or me. So that to the point where it's a viable company that runs regardless, being able to pull myself out of the process. So I was able to pull myself out of the creative side of it for the most part a couple of years ago, because I have a team in place that knows what to do. So that whole piece of delegating, and that goes back to their temperament and so forth. If a person's a high controlling individual, they have to have an input on every decision that's made in the staging process, then that's going to be really hard for anyone to pull themselves out of that role and grow the company. And so the key is to, as Renee already said, to train your people really well so that they know what to do, but also give them the freedom, because part of what we do with the staging side is creative. And so nobody wants somebody breathing over their shoulder telling them, like, you put that plant on the thing wrong, it needs to be like this. and questioning, second guessing everything that they're doing. So it's important that those people that are watching now, that you identify, where do you want to be? Maybe you want to stay in the creative, so then you'll be looking for somebody to handle the logistics, the operations side, and maybe even the sales for you, if that's not really what you love doing. And there's people out there that can do that. Any of us that have hired people or brought people in the team, there is a point where you might get used. That 90-day period of time is what I call it, the honeymoon period. And I usually find that after about that time, you'll know if the person is committed to your process and your growth, or it just isn't going to work out. You part ways, and wish them the best, but you're trying to find people who are committed to what you're working to grow.
Yeah. And I mean, that's part of what we're really going to dive in pretty deep in the workshop in the next couple of weeks. My intention is that the attendees of that workshop not only walk away with a standard for themselves, as well as at least a start to what their mission and beliefs and values are, if they don't already know that, but really dig deep into that. It's also having a checklist, a step by step of the hiring process. And part of that hiring process is really being able to understand, again, as we talked about before, what you are and what is a best complement for you as well. And that is what leads me to the tool that I use the most, that I have become a trainer in. I'm certified in behavior analytics, and an analyst into the DISC. And if I may, Jenny, just kind of give a quick overview of what the DISC is.
Yeah, it's sort of funny. I just looked at our show on Facebook, and nobody can see me. They can see you.
Oh, okay.
There's like an orange panel over my head. I hate Be Live. Anyway, luckily you can be seen. I don't know if people can even hear me. This is weird. So it looks like this. Let's see, where's my camera? Can you see? Oh. I know it's kind of glary. Let's see, does that work?
I can't see you either. So I'm blind too.
Oh, you can't see me?
And I didn't realize they could see me. So I hope my hair's not.
You look good. Yeah. So guess
I got some puffy hair.
It looks nice. So it's weird. Why can't? But we are live. No, they can see you for sure. I don't know why you can't see me.
Technology at its finest.
Yeah, because I added myself to the stream. It says guest interview. So anyway, Sandra, they can hear me. She can't see my fabulous pink glasses. Anybody? So sorry. And I'm afraid to push buttons because I don't want it to wreck the.
Right.
Oh, here it is. Let's see, audio only. No, mute. You see see, I have my cameras on. I don't know what the deal is. Microphone, speakers, Corel, screen capture, integrated webcam. Let's see if that works.
There you go. You did it.
I don't know what I did. I just pushed a button. Hi, everybody. I am here.
Now we're not blind to each other anymore. I think we did pretty good being blind.
Well, thanks everybody for letting me know not that you couldn't see me. Nobody said anything. It's like this orange screen. Okay, so what we were talking about?
We're talking about DISC. If I can do just a quick overview about that.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Yes.
And so this is just one tool that is out there. Sometimes people, and I don't even know the other ones, use the color one or the number one. I have found they're all basically the same, and it's just easier for me, and I like the assessment of the DISC better. The assessment, and if you come to this workshop, I will give you for free the ability, free, um, included, I guess I should say that, with the workshop, the ability to take this assessment, and you will receive a 42-page report. And I have to tell you, I do these workshops all over the country, and I've had feedback where people have said, this assessment has changed my marriage, has changed my partnerships, have changed my relationships, because I am more aware of how I am perceived, and nobody's going to change you. Nobody wants to change you. It's just the awareness of who you are and how you are being perceived, and the platinum rule. The golden rule, we know, is treat others as you would treat yourself. The platinum rule is treat others as they want to be treated. And you don't know how somebody wants to be treated until you can analyze what they are. Again, I use the DISC as the tool. The DISC, DISC, is quick and dirty. The D's are people that are D words. They are direct. They are sometimes demanding. They are decision makers. They're quite honestly leaders, and not all the time liked by everybody else. They can kind of bulldog people. Fortunately or unfortunately, these are less than 10% of the population. They're the presidents of companies. They're the president of the United States, or people who want to be presidents of the United States. They're those type of people that are D's. The I's are influential. They are inspirational. They are people that are talkers and very social. They get their energy from people. And they also are a very low percentage of the population, less than 25%. And please understand that these percentages do not equate to 100%, because a lot of people lead with one and then have a very, very close second as well. And in different situations, they could lead with one or lead with another in a different environment. So what we're talking about, or how you take the assessment more often than not, is in a work environment, and you answer questions around how you feel or what you think about yourself in a work environment. The I's biggest fear is rejection, whereby the D's biggest fear is being taken advantage of. The S is the majority of the population, right around 75 to 80% of the population are S's. They are stable people. They are steady people. They are people that appreciate structure. And again, that is the majority of the population. They're not great decision makers. They like to be led, and thank goodness there are lots of people out there that enjoy being followers and not making decisions. Again, it's the majority of the population. And then finally, there are C's. And these are the cognitive people. These are people that are very conscientious of rules. They live inside of a box, whereas a D feels like the speed limit is a suggestion. The C says the speed limit is for real. They don't set their cruise control any higher than what the speed limit actually says on the sign. Whereas the D is like, oh, I could go 4 to 6 miles above whatever that speed limit is. So they are pretty much in direct opposition of each other. The D is a risk taker, as opposed to the C is very conservative and adverse to risk. And oh my goodness, those of us that are D's and I's really appreciate the S's and the C's. And I'll tell you a little secret. Most of us uh, have the concept of opposites attract, because we are attracted to the opposite of whatever we are. That personality type balances us out. And if we're mature enough in our lives, we actually appreciate the opposite of what we are. And we look for it, and we appreciate it. So the D, the I, the S, the C. Of course, the C's biggest fear is that a rule is going to be broken, and again, they live inside of that box. So we're going to really dive into who you are as an individual, and you're going to be able to take away how to identify the person that you're speaking to on the phone, the person who you're walking into their home, and just by what their home looks like, very quickly, you will be able to think, this is how I need to present to them. So I hope and I feel like this will be really good, immediate, implementable things that you can take away and hopefully make you even more money and save you time by coming to this workshop.
Yeah, and then that's going to be your topic at the conference. And so we're going to dive deep at on the disc profile. And I'm excited for that because that's kind of my background, psychology and biology, and Renee and I have similar backgrounds on that. But learning in any relationship, whether it's a work relationship, a client relationship, your personal relationships, knowing who you are is important. But I like that platinum rule. I never heard that before. Being able to meet people where they are. And meet their needs, whether you're using the disc profile. There's books like The 5 Love Languages is another, even the 5 Love Languages for the Workplace, which I'm reading. Yeah. So making people feel valued and important based on what their temperament, personality, whatever you want to call it, the identifier is. And it's interesting because if you have two people that are very strong, like John and I are not opposites. We're not.
No, it is the craziest thing how your relationship works. But somebody has to be in charge. And for you two, it kind of depends on the environment, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. Yeah, I think
figured out how to make it work.
Yeah, because you look at I think the one area that neither one of us have a lot on is the S, as far as the which I would call the amiable, that I don't even think I have one of those personality traits, but I do have, both of us can be kind of the C as far as details and so forth when we need to be. But I think I'm better at it than John, but he talks more in like percentages and numbers, and he's real fast with calculations and so forth. That's one of the characteristics of that. But and to learn, and hopefully learning to live in your strengths, not your weaknesses.
Correct. Exactly. Exactly. So and really appreciate those weaknesses that you have and identifying them in somebody else. And yes, you're absolutely right. I'm going to go very deep on that in September. And even the workshop that we're doing here in a couple weeks, when you're hiring somebody, you have to go into this type of area. And although we won't go diving deep into it, it's still a conversation that you kind of at a surface level have to be able to understand. Otherwise, you're hiring somebody that doesn't really make sense for you to hire.
Right. They're not a good fit. Like if you're using that thing, if you're a DI, then you want to probably find somebody who complements. Like if you're not a big details person, you like to be the front person, you're the one doing the client time, you're probably looking for somebody who can handle the paperwork and the financial stuff, which, I hate the bookkeeping. That's the person I do need to hire.
Yes, you do.
It's a mandatory part of running a business, and I save everything, so I'm organized in that thing. But I don't like scanning the receipts and putting the stuff in, and so tax time is always, papers everywhere, and I get it done. But it'd be nice if it was done on along the way. Like you turned me on. I told you this when we met. Renee had turned me on to this tax company here in the area that I mean, you pay a monthly fee. They specialize in real estate, working with agents. They understand our industry, so they would send me a Manila envelope. All I had to do was put my receipts in this envelope and send it to them. Then they would scan everything, and I had to do that monthly. And I think I was with them at least 2 years. I paid, I think, 39 or 49 a month. And ask me how many times I sent that envelope in.
Yeah, and that's even more conducive to your personality, type, is that you're not going to slow down and do that type of thing. And I think that is what is the epitome of what you mean by focus on your strengths. Don't You're not going to change, nor do I ever want you to change. And so find that person that can do those things and come along beside you that you don't like to do or that you're not even good at. And that's what I would say. When I start coaching somebody, I say, please send me your P&L immediately. And if you can't put your finger on a year to date P&L quickly, you're not running a business, or you think you're running a business and you're certainly not doing it at a high level. And that's part of, again, what we're going to dive deep into inside of these business concepts, around the numbers and knowing your numbers, knowing and how to figure out conversion rates and where the industry standard is as well. So I'm not necessarily saying hire a bookkeeper for everybody. I am saying, Jenny, at the level that you're at, you're putting a lid, you're putting a ceiling on how amazing you can be if you're not hiring the person that helps you with those weaknesses. Not to say that you're not good at it, it's just not something that you enjoy. And so hire to the opposite, hire to the
Yeah.
other side.
I mean, it's not like, I don't, I like making money, so it'd be good for me to know where it's all going, right? And it's also just a factor of time. And in my mind, I think, could I organize all my receipts, or could I make some calls for business or market? And so
Yeah.
I'm all
And
for
it's so
me,
much
just because
easier than that. It's
what's
it's
that?
it's
Yeah.
so much easier than that. If you choose to be a debt-free business, then I always advise my clients to just have one business debit card, and you send that statement, the monthly statement. I do it 3 months at a time. I am certainly not slowing myself down um, every month to send a statement to my bookkeeper. And I have trained her, and I say, by April 10th, if I haven't sent it to you, you send me an email and say, Renee, it's time. Send me the statements. So I send her the statements. She takes every single line item, she puts it into the QuickBooks categories, and within 2 days, I get a P&L. And you should be able to not only have that, but be able to know what percentages of your expenses and really line item each one of those as to where you're spending your money. And if you don't have a coach or somebody that can hold you accountable to where you're spending your money, then I would highly recommend that that's something that you get. And a lot of people just, again, have a standard of whatever their expenses are. And in the staging world, we have something else that is called a cost of sale, which means you don't have to pay for this thing unless there is a staging that is going on. And so we also teach how to identify what is an actual fixed expense, as well as what is something that might be an expense, but only if there is a staging going on, and then being able to identify where you're spending your money and holding every dollar accountable. And that's where I'd like to be able to really take people to the next level, is Are you making 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times whatever you are spending dollar for dollar? And that's what I mean by holding the money accountable. So that's just one area that we can really dive deep into with regard to your business and operations, and really being able to identify if you're ready. And if you're not right now, it's okay. It's really great to know maybe in a year what you need to do to set yourself up to go to the next level and break through that ceiling.
Which is really important. So I'm excited for the workshops, and I appreciate you taking time to share. And we'll hopefully have a really good turnout here in Denver. So those people that are watching, whether you're going to be at the Denver workshop or you're going to be in Fort Lauderdale, Boston, Washington, D.C., Phoenix, Seattle, Houston, they're all on the docket if I or their dates are set. Atlanta, we're just working on the dates. Jacksonville, Florida, we want to do possibly Orlando, Tampa, and Chicago, we're working on just a location. So all these places, and the whole goal is to help stagers who want to grow their business succeed. We're all learning, I mean, I've been at this, as I already said, 18 years, but there's still things I'm learning because the business is always evolving and rules change as far as, what we have to do to structure our businesses, and things get easier. There's apps we can use. And so just different ways to organize. So I'm excited. And give us a couple of things you took away from Dallas. What were your big things that we're in the real estate industry? So what do we need to know that's coming?
There are more realtors than there have ever been in the history of real estate. As such, the transaction numbers, the unit per realtor, has gone down for the first time ever. So it used to be that we would hover around 8, 9, or 10 transactions per real estate professional. It is now hovering between 6, 7, or 8, depending on the location.
Do they say, is that a factor? Are the same number of houses being bought and sold, and it's just more realtors? So
less. We have less inventory because the interest rates are so low. There are so many buyers, not enough sellers, and at least our analytics are saying we don't really see that changing anytime soon. We are in the 8th year of a maximum 6-year cycle. And so we're in uncharted territory. What that means for you all is you need to be in relationship with more realtors, that no matter what, if there's a real estate agent that says that they do 20, 30, 40 plus transactional sides, more than likely 50% of those are going to be buyers. So just cut that number in half. And what that means to me for you all is you probably need to be in relationship with 2 times the amount of realtors than what you're in relationship now. So that is a big takeaway as far as the market is concerned.
And then I read, and what we're talking about is Keller Williams family reunion just happened in Dallas. So I heard it was a fabulous educational time and really good networking, and people are really excited for 2021 already. And one of the things I read, or maybe John sent me, was the issue of big conglomerates buying up properties for rental purposes, which means there'll be less single family homes available for purchase. They talked about that.
I think that's been going on for a long time. In my world, I'm, in the investor world, and I've been seeing that for a long time. I don't know really how that affects anybody except that, the people who have the money win,
But if you're a buyer and you can't find something to buy, that becomes a challenge.
Oh, and that again has been going on for about the last 3 years or so. So we have to tell our story, and I just implore the stagers out there to also tell the story. That the media, number one, wants to make everything the sky is falling because that's what sells, and the reality is there's not a lot of inventory because the sellers are thinking, well, that's great. I can get top dollar for my house, but where am I going to go? And a great real estate professional is going to go and make that happen. They are going to be strategic about helping you to find a house. And because the buyers are fighting over the houses, you're going to be able to find a buyer that is flexible because they want to be able to buy that house, and they will let you stay in the house, the seller stay in the house, to be able to give them the time to go find that next property. There's plenty of people that are still being transferred out of state, so some of those buyers will just be lucky and be able to, be able just to buy those houses. But the ones that are looking to sell for top dollar and either upgrade or downgrade in the Denver metro area, because there's so many buyers, we're saying right now 8 buyers for every property.
Wow.
So that's kind of a bummer, because sometimes the real estate professional thinks, I don't need to stage this house because it's just going to sell anyway. And in my opinion, the reality is, and I know I'm preaching to the choir, is that don't you want the top dollar for your seller? And it is statistically proven that a staged house sells for more in less time with less stress to the seller. So we have to go tell the story. It's
Yeah.
up to the real estate professionals and the partnerships that we have with our stagers. We have to go tell the story. There's money that's being left on the table if realtors are not staging properties. It's crazy.
I know, and because I talked to an agent 2 days ago, so he's selling his own house, so he wants to have me come out and stage it because it'll be empty. And it was funny because he said, I really haven't had to stage any of the properties, in the area. And I'm thinking like, well, you did. You needed to stage all of them. You just didn't because we know it's going to sell, but it could have sold for more. And I even shared that at an investor meeting I spoke at on Monday night. And every house deserves to be looking great when it goes to the show, and then it helps benefit the seller, and everybody wins, which is great. So
what is the statistic? Do you know, in the Denver metro area, what statistic you use for a staged property, as opposed to a non-staged property selling?
as far
Percentage?
as days on market,
Days
I
on
know.
market or percentage of list to sale price?
Well, it's kind of hard to answer that question because sometimes like they might actually do the staged list price to begin with. So they make it go to the top of the range versus in the middle and then get bidding more.
Right.
So, but I've had, recently one that sold for 8% more, one that sold for 12% more. Some sell at list. So it really depends on the pricing, and then the strategy behind how the agent puts it on.
Right. And probably in the price point as well.
Mm-hmm.
I would think the Denver metro area, our average sales price right now is $483,000 in Denver. Anything over 550 needs to be staged. It's going to have longer days on market, and the smaller ones are probably going to have a bidding war anyway. I just think, don't leave money on the table. You're not servicing your sellers. Get in partnership with a stager, and don't be afraid, the stagers that are listening to this right now, to call your realtor board and ask for a coffee meeting and sell yourself. They need you. We need you.
Awesome. We need you. Well, our time is up, so I appreciate you being on. Good conversation. And so look for Renee, those of you that are here in Denver for the workshop. I'm going to edit this down and use little snippets for promoting it, but join us at the workshop. And those that are in other areas, you're going to have experts like Renee sharing what you need to know to grow your business, from pricing and profit, logistics, team building, marketing, everything, and then the financial piece. So thank you for being on. Glad you got home safely.
It was fun.
Okay. Say bye, everybody.